Hola amigos de Gamers, ¿cómo están? Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches, donde quiera que estén, donde quiera que nos estén viendo. Aquí otra vez su amigo Nicho con un invitado muy especial, uno de mis mejores amigos y el fundador de el Realms Open Championship y el Rock, el señor Howard Brock. Hey Howard, how are you?
Good.
Say hello to our Mexican audience because they are watching us live.
Hello, hello, all my friends.
So, oh, sorry about that. There we go. So, estamos aquí para hablar con Howard sobre lo que es el rock, de cómo lo fundó, de cómo fue su proceso bueno, de cómo empezó a jugar HeroClix y de todo su proceso. Y vamos a platicar, obviamente cualquier pregunta que tengan, por favor háganosla saber, estamos con ustedes aquí en vivo, entonces por favor saluden y a ver ahorita cómo nos va. So, Howard, one of the things I'm telling the Mexican players is that you founded The Rock, which is the tournament that they're going to play in a couple of weeks. It's all the way through November and December. So,
Yes,
first things first, you said there was going to be a map involved in the process, and it was going to be a special
yes,
championship map. Entonces,
yes.
lo que le estoy preguntando ahorita a Howard es que él es el fundador de Rock y que hay un premio especial que es el mapa. Entonces va a platicarnos un poco del proceso del mapa. He's going to talk to us a little bit about the process of how the map came to be.
Um, so the first unique thing about this map is that it's player design. It's the first map that we've ever had at a states event that was player designed.
Una de las cosas que es muy importante de este mapa es que es el primer mapa diseñado por un jugador. Por eso es muy importante esto, ¿no? Es el primer mapa que no es diseñado por alguien que juega, no, es diseñado por un jugador.
So the way that this happened is we were at the Huntington's event in Huntsville with Scott Porter, and we put a lot of things up for auction. And we put the map, we put a design the map for the first time ever up for auction. And I already knew that I already had plans to maybe use one of the maps. So what happened is Scott Crampton won that bid. The guy that designed this map was competing on the design the figure.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, right.
And he was competing against Lucas.
Lucas, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there at the very end, we had a technical problem. And
Which is the second year this has happened.
yes, there was a technical problem, and Lucas was wanting this really bad, and he was planning on going higher. And when we had the technical problem, Brandon was winning, but if we would have continued, Lucas would have probably ended up winning.
Okay.
So he won the design. He won the design the figure. Okay. So I went in to try to make everybody happy. And talked to Brandon, who was very nice. He was at the event. He was very, I think you know his
Nicole.
girlfriend Nicole, which is one of the sweetest players ever. So
she got a special prize. She got the
fellowship.
The fellowship that time.
She earned it. So to rectify the problem, I said, Brandon, if you'll let Lucas have that, I will let you design a map. So that's how he got to design this map.
But what happened to Scott Crampton then?
He's still designing a map.
Oh, he's still designing a map.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that map will be released at a later time.
Okay.
But I'll let Brandon's map be the
Rock States. Ok, yes. Entonces lo que está platicando Howard en resumidas cuentas, todos los mayos hacemos un evento, bueno, se hace un evento de rock que es de Huntington, donde participa Scott Porter. Scott Porter es uno de los patrocinadores de ese, bueno, no es patrocinador, pero participa en ese evento. Entonces, él, en ese evento hay subasta de muchísimas cosas. Entre esas cosas está diseñar una figura, lo cual puedes tú, no el dial, pero diseñas una figura, la que tú quieras, y WizKids la hace para ti. Esa es una de las cosas más caras que se van en subasta allá. Este año fue la primera vez que se puso diseñar un mapa en la subasta. Y lo que acabó pasando fue que lo ganó Scott Crampton, y el diseñar el mapa, que va a diseñar un mapa en una fecha futura, pero el diseñar una figura lo ganó una persona que se llama Brandon. Y lo que estaba comentando Howard es que es novio de la señorita que ganó el fellowship ese evento, Nicole, que es una persona muy amigable, es una de las personas que te gusta mucho jugar con, tomar una partida de HeroClix con ella. Y Lucas, otro jugador muy bueno que estoy seguro que muchos de ustedes conocen, iba a ganar el diseñar una figura. Entonces lo que hizo Howard fue hablar con Brandon para decirle, oye, te dejo diseñar un mapa, déjale lo de la figura a Lucas, porque Lucas lo ha estado buscando mucho tiempo y lo logró convenceros. Entonces él diseñó un mapa. Before we continue, hi Eddie, how are you? Jack Valentine, hey Jack Valentine, Gibran, saludos amigos, how are you? Gibran, hola Eddie, ok. Hello there, Scott es de los promotores de Clicks, exacto. Scott is one of the promoters of Clicks. And, and Oscar's saying, Luke is my guy. Okay, so what did Brandon design with how was the design process for this map? For those who haven't seen it, because we have it in our webpage. Para los que no lo han visto en la página de Gamers, aquí está el mapa que se va a estar dando en el Rock Estatal. Obviamente es el mapa que está a la venta. Hay unas tiendas que lo pidieron para venderlo, entonces nada más pregunten cuánto va a costar. Pero, por ejemplo, en la parte del medio tiene la ciudad o tiene el estado donde se va a hacer el evento. Y el campeón tiene la leyenda de campeón de ese estado. So I'm telling him that this is the map that's going to be for sale for some stores because some stores ordered extra. And that the map for top 4, que el premio nada más para el top 4, has the legend of has a legend here for the state.
Right there.
Yeah, for the state. And then for the champion, it says champion underneath.
Yes.
Entonces, quien se lleve campeonato de cada estatal va a ser out. So, Howard, what was the thought process for Brandon? Did he tell this to you?
Yes.
What was the thought process for this map?
So I got Brendan on the phone and we talked about it, and he shot me some ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And the other idea he had was a farm. And I said, well, we've kind of already done that. We've had really 2 farm maps.
Daniel Powell farm. Oscar knows this.
Yeah.
Daniel Powell farm and Barnstable, I think.
Yeah.
The Barnstable.
Well, anyway, we've had some. So maybe not. What was your other idea?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, there's a video game that I love, and I would like to do a Resident Evil map. And I said, okay, all right. So I said, look, you can't not do a Resident Evil map because it's a licensing problem.
Exactly.
But you can be inspired by Resident Evil, and you can create something with the designer that is inspired by Resident Evil, and you can go from there.
Oscar says the one of the wedding, the Barnstable wedding. Yeah. Okay.
So that is how we started. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then he made the map, and when what he does is he draws something out. He submits that to Aaron Morgan, who is a Rockhead judge, and he handles these things. It goes to him, and then he takes that rough idea and he does 2 things with it. He sends it to the map maker and he to see what he thinks, and he also sends it to WizKids. So WizKids came by. I wasn't involved in that process, but WizKids wanted some changes done, and so the changes went back to Aaron, and so then Aaron and Brandon worked together on tweaking it the right way, and then once those were done, WizKids said yes, and then it went to Steve, and then he made the map.
Lo que está diciendo Howard en resumidas cuentas es que habló con Brandon para ver cuál era su idea de un mapa, y Brandon quería hacer un mapa en cuanto a 2 granjas, pero como ya hay dos granjas, 2 mapas de granjas en el juego, que ya comentamos, una es la granja de Daniel Powell, que es uno de los jugadores también de HeroClix, de los top 4 del mundo. Y la otra era una boda, que justamente Oscar está comentando que era la boda de Barnstable. Le dijo, oye, pues a ver, ¿qué te parece si podemos hacer otras cosas? Y entonces Brandon le dijo, bueno, me gusta mucho el juego de Resident Evil, entonces, ¿qué te parece si puedo hacer la mansión? Y Howard le dijo, mira, no puedes hacer la mansión por problemas de licencia, obviamente, pero puedes hacer un mapa inspirado en la mansión. Que para los que tienen los mapas de rock, for those of them who have the rock maps, most of the maps are inspired by something.
Yes.
So, okay, muchos de esos mapas están inspirados en algo, a diferencia de los de WizKids. Pero bueno, entonces, lo que está diciendo también Howard es que una vez que Brandon tenía como un rough sketch de lo que quería, se lo mandó a Aaron Morgan, que es el head judge de Rock, que lo hemos tenido aquí en algunas ocasiones. Y una vez que Aaron lo ve, se lo manda al que hace los mapas y se lo manda a WizKids. Y una vez que hay un dimes y diretes de, a ver, oye, cambia esto, haz esto, entonces WizKids lo aprueba y una vez que lo aprueba, ya, ya está. So, before we continue, all right, Oscar says, yeah, those maps. Oh, okay. So Eddie says that he hopes you will leave map design for each year as the auction. Are you going to?
Yes.
Ok, entonces sí, Eddie lo va a dejar para cada año. Porque de hecho fue una de las cosas que, de hecho fue lo que más se subastó. It was the most auctioned item,
Yes.
right? The design map.
Yes.
Ok, entonces sí, efectivamente, Oscar, la mención está inspirada en el mapa. Vodka says, shout out to the legend Howard. That's Vodka Saran Maximov.
Very kind.
Eddie Eddie says that now he wants this map badly because he didn't know about the Resident Evil part.
Oh, he's gonna want it more when I tell him about it. He's gonna want it. He's gonna want it even more in a minute.
Oh, Eddie, wait a second, because okay, so George says, "Hi, George, how are you?" He says that he wants a farm with colored chickens. Okay. Oscar says, "Pure celebrity here." Oh, okay. Eddie says that if there's any place where he can read in the inspiration for each map. Oh, and Oscar is asking that if no more design and legacy card in Rock World or in Huntington's.
Yes, they are. Yeah, we did that last year, did we not? Did we have a design?
Last year, but not this year.
Yeah, we didn't do it this year. WizKids must have pulled that.
Ok. Para los que están aquí, Oscar está preguntando que por qué no dentro de los ítems de la subasta estaba el diseñar una carta Legacy. Daniel Powell won that for the Iron Man Legacy card, didn't he?
I think so.
Ok. Parece ser que Daniel Powell ganó esa subasta el año pasado de eso, pero este año yo creo que WizKids
there used to be
ver.
two designer legacies. One was that you could win it by either being in the team play or the singles, and the other way was that you could bid on it.
Había dos de diseñar Legacy Card. Una la ganabas en el mundial, bueno, en el evento de equipos en Huntington, y la otra era por subasta, pero parece ser que WizKids dijo este año no. Okay, so Howard, you were going to say something about this map. What's the strategy for this map?
Well, this map is very unique. In fact, It's the first time ever in the history of HeroClix that you have all the elements on this map that are all on this map. You have blocking, you have hindering, you have elevations, it's indoor and outdoor, and you have water. And it's both inside and outside. That's never occurred.
Entonces, Eddie, lo que está comentando Howard es que este mapa es el primer mapa en su categoría.
And blocking.
O el primer mapa en su categoría que tiene todos los terrenos. No hay un mapa que sea igual. Tiene hindering, tiene blocking, tiene elevado, tiene agua, tiene afuera y tiene adentro. Tiene absolutamente todo. Hi, Christian. How are you? Christian here is Mexico's national champion last year, and he was runner-up this year. And Gibran, who is also here, I think he said hi a while ago. Oh, sorry. Gibran Bass. He was Mexico's national champion this year.
Yeah.
And Christian was the runner-up. Hi, Legacy. How are you? Okay, so Howard, what's the main strategy for this map? What inspired or what did Brandon try to achieve with this map?
I don't think that he was really trying to focus on strategy as much as he just wanted to create a vision that he had. But the vision does create a map that I feel like I would call it a defensive map. It's one that you can keep people from doing a alpha strike on you. I think this prevents it. But it's also something that I think that if you have the right team, that you can use it possibly as an alpha strike if you have the things that can. The map can be used both ways. Because I mean, if you remember Brock's bunker, the reason everybody was wanting Brock's bunker is because it was one of the few maps that allowed you to be defensive against the alpha strike. That was the main thing. But then people got around that, and they were using MERN, and they were using ways that they were still able to do the alpha strike. And I think that's the same situation here, that you have the ability to, and also if you have a team that you just kind of want to slowly move and get in place, I think this map allows you to do it.
Estratégicamente este mapa no es algo que Brandon estaba pensando. Él más que nada tenía una visión y la puso. Sin embargo, Howard está explicándonos que es un mapa muy defensivo. Puede ser tanto de defensivo como ofensivo, pero es mucho más de defensivo especialmente para cuestiones de Alpha Strike. Entonces es un mapa que la realidad puede ser... Ahora, ahorita hay figuras que ya no te dejan... que ya no bloqueas línea de visión, como por ejemplo MERN es una de esas figuras, porque por ejemplo Brock's Bunker también era uno de esos mapas, pero este es un mapa más que nada estratégicamente defensivo, ¿ok? Oscar says, most of the WizKids maps are very straightforward, rock maps are very complex. So
it also allows for you, if you have the right figures, and this is what I was talking about with the Alpha Strike. So if you play this map, you can play a team defensively and possibly attack the other team if you have the right things. For example, if you have figures that ignore blocking, if you have figures that ignore hindering, our elevations. This is a map that you could use to your advantage.
O sea, es un mapa que puedes usar en tu ventaja si tienes las cosas correctas en tu equipo. Si tienes figuras que ignoran blocking, que ignoran en cuanto a línea de visión, en cuanto a movimiento, también puede ser. O sea, también tienes opciones de barrera para hacer Entonces, este es el mapa. So, Howard, the most important question I'm going to ask about this map, and you have to understand, I'm speaking from experience. One, is this going to be WizKids legal? And two, are they going to ban it when it comes out?
I can't. No. WizKids approved this. Okay. This went through playtest. Right. The previous map that we were promised that would be WizKids legal, that they blessed, we were rushed, and it was approved to be run. The reason they didn't like it was that map was because it was symmetrical.
Okay. Right. You're talking about Hell's Crossroads, right?
No.
Or no. Last year's
States map never got put into use because WizKids deemed it symmetrical. And then they started making symmetrical maps again. So who knows why they do what they do. But anyway, it was symmetrical. So when Worlds came around, it was still, they didn't want to say that this map could be used. And even though we were promised that map at that time, nothing went through playtesting. So since then, now when we send something to WizKids, it goes to a central person, but it also goes into playtesting prior to them approving it. So there's no reason that this map should not be WizKids league. It's got the WizKids logo on it. It should go right on the modern rotation. And but you
really,
yes,
yeah, it does.
So the problem is that I feel like it will be legal for Worlds next year. But when they do the Worlds list, the maps that are legal for Worlds doesn't necessarily have. It's not about legality. What they'll do is they'll make a curated list of the maps that are allowed. So there may be WizKids legal maps that are still not legal for Worlds because they shorten the list.
Ok. Entonces, lo que le pregunté a Howard fue si este mapa iba a ser legal para WizKids y si lo iban a banear la primera semana. Y estaba yo hablando del Brock's Bunker, I was talking about Brock's Bunker that they didn't put it for Worlds, but that's another story completely. Y lo que me está comentando Howard es que el mapa de Rock States del año pasado, que fue el de la bodega, era un mapa muy simétrico y no pasó por el proceso de playtest. O sea, no lo probaron en WizKids porque en esa época, bueno, o el año pasado no había playtest de estos elementos. Entonces, lo que pasó fue que se le prometió a Rock que iba a ser legal, pero como es un mapa muy simétrico, entonces no había esa cuestión de complejidad y de estrategia, por lo tanto tuvieron que banearlo. Este año, este mapa sí tiene playtest, entonces este mapa sí va a ser legal para Worlds el año que entra y ya va a ser legal porque ya pasó por un proceso de playtest. Ahora, lo otro es que WizKids, aunque tiene su mapa aunque tiene su lista de mapas legales, antes del mundial hacen como una versión corta de los mapas que se pueden jugar. Entonces, este mapa tiene hasta el logotipo, aquí estamos viendo, tiene el logotipo de WizKids. Entonces, este es un mapa que se va a jugar en el mundial y que se puede jugar en eventos oficiales de WizKids y en eventos de todo. Entonces, la verdad es un mapa muy bonito. Do you see this map on the tables, on the game
Yes.
tables,
Yeah.
on tournaments,
Yes.
on Modern,
Yeah.
Silver?
Yeah.
Y Howard está viendo este mapa en eventos Modern, en eventos Silver, en eventos Pulp. O sea, este mapa es un mapa muy completo, muy defensivo y con las piezas correctas, muy ofensivo. So, Eddie says, maps are more complex and more competitive. Kristen says, at least they're not re-impressions of the ones that are already there. Yeah, and Eddie says, Rock 2023, yes.
So, to talk about the Brock's Bunker map, the reason that it wasn't at Worlds Legal is because they didn't feel like there had been enough distribution yet for the map. That won't be the case with this, and it won't be the case with Brock's Bunker next year because we have distributed it through states and provinces, and also we'll start selling it.
Ok. Lo que pasó con el mapa de Brock's Bunker el año pasado fue que Whiskey sintió que no había suficientes fuera, o sea que los jugadores no tenían suficiente de esos mapas, lo cual no va a ser el caso con este mapa y no va a ser el caso con Brock's Bunker porque Brock's Bunker está disponible para los States, está disponible para Winamaps, está disponible para todo este tipo de cosas y se va a distribuir más y se va a empezar a vender. Are you going to start selling this one too or just Brock's Bunker?
This one, I don't know. I haven't made up my mind.
Ok, entonces no sabemos si se vaya a vender. Entonces, aquellas tiendas que hayan adquirido copias extras del mapa ya están advertidas. ¿No?
The reason that I don't know is because I like when you win a map that means something, that you've won something special. So I don't want to like immediately sell the map.
Obviously.
And where people can just get the map. It kind of ruins the
like
special.
Convention exclusive. Oh.
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
So anyway, if we do sell it, it'd be at a later date. I've been giving some thought to that.
Ok, entonces lo que está haciendo Howard es que para él se le hace algo muy especial cuando tienes un ítem como lo que es el mapa y lo ganas. El ganar algo, pues obviamente tiene que ser algo muy especial. Y si empiezas a venderlo inmediatamente, pues obviamente ya no se vuelve tan especial. Entonces, no le ha dado mucho pensamiento, no le ha dado un proceso. Va a ver en un futuro si lo vende o no, pero por el momento solamente este mapa va a estar disponible en Rock States, que como ya todos ustedes saben es en Ciudad de México, Jalisco, Guanajuato, Veracruz y Nuevo León. ¿Vale? Oscar is asking if Ice Lake map affect this tournament legal.
The Ice Lake map, it would be.
But the effect.
Oh, if it's on the map, it would be.
Que si está en el mapa sería legal. Oscar está preguntando si el efecto del mapa de Ice Lake va a ser legal para torneo y Howard está contestando que si está en el mapa si está en el mapa debería ser legal para torneo.
I was surprised WizKids let us do that.
Que de hecho está sorprendido que WizKids les haya dejado hacer eso.
I'm not a proponent of special effects on maps.
Yeah, but
it's there. So if it's there, you should be able to play
Si está ahí, entonces sí deberías jugarlo.
So I want to give them a little history on maps.
Ok, entonces ahorita lo que va a hablar Howard es una pequeña historia en cuanto a los mapas.
So back when Rock began, in our first year, we changed. There's a lot of rules that are in play now that were not in play. We created the rules. One of the rules that we created that WizKids eventually adopted was the map rule. Because it used to be that when you played the game, you built your team and you put it on a team sheet, but you didn't list any maps. Maps were not part of your team.
Ok, lo que está comentando Howard es que hace muchos años cuando empezó lo de Rock, cuando empezó lo de Rock, no había reglas como tal en cuanto a los mapas. Entonces, la realidad es que no había algo especial en cuanto a eso. Sin embargo, Rock empezó a implementar la regla de que tu equipo necesitaba incluir los mapas en tu equipo.
So we created that rule, and WizKids later adopted it. Okay?
Crearon ellos esa regla y WizKids luego la adoptó.
So the reason that we did that is there's two reasons really. One is that we wanted the map to be part of the team build, to be more specific, and also I used to go to tournaments back then, and people would all sit down, and they would be playing somebody, and they would pull out a huge bag of maps, and they would be going through the maps to try to figure out which one that they'd fold it and unfold it, and then they would, and then Dennis would be across the room, and I'd go, Dennis, did you bring that map? You know, the one with all the planes on it. And you would say, yeah, I got it right. And I would run across the room and get that map, and we would end up playing. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous. Entonces, lo que está comentando Howard es que una de las razones por las cuales implementaron esa regla es porque querían que el mapa fuera parte de tu equipo. Pero otra de las razones es porque cuando ibas a un torneo y te sentabas con tu contrincante, el contrincante podía traer una bolsa llena de mapas y ver en ese momento cuál mapa era el que más le gustaba para jugar el equipo que tenía enfrente o el equipo que tiene aquí. Y una de esas razones es que, por ejemplo, un jugador del otro lado del salón iba a decir, oye, ¿tienes el mapa con los aviones? Sí, güey, aquí tengo el mapa con los aviones. Entonces tienes que correr, traer el mapa y llevarlo y todo eso. Entonces, por eso implementaron esa regla de que los mapas tienen que ser parte de tu equipo. Eddie is saying, Oscar, if you have that map, the Ice Lake map, they're going to do a local ban on Oscar.
So so we had that, and so we decided to make team building and include map building, and we decided to put 3 maps,
which is a good number.
So usually when you built a map, when you think about maps on your team, you usually try to get 3 different maps for different situations. You have your ideal map that if you win the dice roll, that you want to play your team on this. Then you have, oh God, if I play this team, I want to play this map, and so on and so forth. And so that's how we started incorporating maps. So you tell
Entonces, implementaron la idea de los 3 mapas porque obviamente necesitabas tener opciones para tu estrategia. Tenías un equipo y podías decir, no, pues es que quiero jugar este equipo en este mapa. O podías decir, oye, este equipo queda muy bien con este mapa. O sea, por eso implementaron la regla de 3 mapas, porque necesitabas tener tú opciones de estrategia para saber si era o jugar con tu equipo ese mapa o jugar con alguien más ese mapa. So, this is the map. I think it's a very good map. I also think it's going to be played a lot.
Yes. I want to tell him one more thing.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, to add to that history of maps, okay, our first year, we didn't make maps. Okay. Our second year, we started making maps, and I'm going to tell you how it came to be. So, the first year we were sponsored by WizKids. They gave us, we were talking directly to Justin, and Justin gave us a lot of prizing to run tournaments. We only ran 5 big tournaments the first year. The second year we decided to expand on that. We wanted to run a lot of tournaments, and we went to WizKids, who hesitated, and anyway, I'm not going to go into the details, but they pulled out, so we did not have sponsorship
for the third year.
For the second year.
For the second. Oh, they pulled out. Okay.
Yeah, so they pulled out for the second year. So we were left hanging. How do we get this done? So we started going to cash prize. We started we can do cash. I was at Gen Con, and I was told to go talk to somebody. I was there when TCG Player was just starting off.
Okay.
And I went over there and I talked to the owner of TCG Player, who just retired after he sold everything to eBay. But I talked to him, and he wanted to sponsor HeroClix.
Okay.
He was all in because they were trying to spread the brand name. So I started talking to him, and I'd like, well, what do you do? And they do prize kits. They did prize kits for Pokemon, for Magic, and they had these big tournaments at the end of the year when they gave out cash money. And I said, can we do something like that for HeroClix? He said, yes. I said, well, show me your prize stuff. And he showed me the points cards, and he showed me, and I said, and they showed me some other stuff where we could do dice.
I have some points cards over there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that he showed me is the big prizing for these tournaments is like for Pokemon, they produced a Pokemon mat that you get that you play on.
Yeah.
And I said, can we use this material and make maps.
And he said yes.
And he said yes. And that is where neoprene maps began.
Ok, entonces, un resumen muy rápido. El primer año que se implementó Rock no hubo participación de Whiskies. El segundo año que fue Rock, Whiskies dijo que sí iba a dar con premios, pero por la razón que sea, tuvieron que echarse para atrás, entonces no hubo premios, pero Howard habló en una Gen Con ese año con el dueño de TCG Player, que me han dicho que es una cuestión de juegos de cartas, que antes de vender su empresa a eBay, entonces habló con él y le dijo, oye, ¿cuál es el formato de premios? Porque ellos manejaban premiación, ellos sin, ¿no? Premiación para Pokémon, premiación para Yugi, premiación para Magic, premiación para esos juegos de cartas. Y dentro de la premiación venían unos chips y aparte venían los mats, unos mats con los que juegas. Entonces Howard le preguntó, oye, ¿y estos maps podemos, o sea, y podemos hacer mapas con este material? Y el dueño, what was the name of the owner of TCG?
His name was Chetty Thompson.
Ok, entonces le preguntó a Chetty Thompson, oye, ¿podemos hacer mapas en este material? Y entonces Chetty le dijo que sí. Y ahí es cuando iniciaron los mapas de neopreno. Porque para los que coleccionan mapas de rock, for those of you who collect rock maps, most of them, la mayoría, are in neoprene. Most of them, la mayoría está en neopreno. Okay, so Oscar asks, how long is around now that the format is 400 points?
No change.
Según, no hay cambio, y según Aaron Morgan, el head judge de Rock, dura entre 50 y 60 minutos. Aaron told me it was between 50 and 60 minutes.
Yeah, it's the same.
Around.
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay, muy bien. So, esto es en cuanto a los mapas. Now, Howard, how about if you tell our Mexican viewers a little bit about how Rock came to be and what I mean, how did you start playing HeroClix? Why did you start Rock, and maybe what plans do you have for the future, and you know, all that stuff?
So I started playing HeroClix in a weird way. It was with my kids. I saw goes all the way back to Infinity Challenge.
Oof, 2002.
I wasn't in a comic book store or anything. I was in Books A Million. In Books A Million, I don't know if you guys have Books A Millions or had Books A Millions down here, but just a huge bookstore. And
Barnes and Noble,
like Barnes and Noble,
okay.
And they put stuff out in the center, and they have all different kinds. They put puzzles, games, whatever. And I saw this box, and it was a big square box, Infinity Challenge box that I know you've seen. I don't know if you have one or not, but I've got one at home.
Yeah.
And it has a little white. It's got a little. It said Marvel, HeroClix, and Play, and all this stuff, and it's got a little clear window. That little clear window has Wolverine in it.
Yeah.
And I saw that and like, what is this?
The DC one had Batman.
Yes. So I went over to it. I was drawn to it, and I'm like, I kept looking at the Wolverine, and I kept like, how did they do this? How can they make something so small look like this?
Yeah.
And then I read about it, and I'm like, this looks like fun. Looks like something my kids would like. A week or two later, we were coming back. I let them buy something. I said, go look at this, and I don't remember which one of the two bought it. They bought it. We took it home, and we got it out. We started playing on the kitchen table, and I went back to Books A Million and bought more stuff, and I kept going back, and I kept going. Pretty soon, Books A Million had nothing anymore. I bought them out.
Ok, so lo que Harold está comentándome es que él empezó a jugar HeroClix de una manera muy rara. Él empezó con sus hijos allá en 2002 con Infinity Challenge, porque si se acuerdan, Infinity Challenge es el primer set de HeroClix que pasó, y entró a una librería tipo Barnes Noble, en la cual se llama Books A Million, y en Books A Million tenían esta caja, y no sé si se acuerdan ustedes, es el primer starter de Infinity Challenge, que en la ventanita tenía a Wolverine. Entonces él se preguntó, ¿pero qué es esto? Que tiene un personaje tan chiquito y puede ser. Entonces que compró eso, lo llevó a su casa, empezó a jugarlo con sus hijos y le gustó tanto que al siguiente día fue otra vez a la librería, se llevó todo, dejó seca la librería de todo lo que fue HeroClix y se lo llevó a su casa a jugar con sus hijos. Before you continue, Oscar says, Howard, did you make grid reality maps? And Vodka asks what happened with Lucky Dice Cafe. So, Oscar, he'll answer this in a second. Vodka, let him finish about the rock thing, and then he'll tell you what
Yeah.
happened with if he wants. Because
No,
I
I
don't
can
know.
answer. I can answer both of those.
Okay, so let's continue with how you funded rock.
Well, how we got to rock.
Yes, how you got to rock.
So I needed more HeroClix. So we ended up. Went on the internet to find out where to buy more, and found out that there was a comic book store near me that sold them. And we ended up going there and learning and starting playing tournaments every week. I eventually became the judge there. Then we eventually expanded out, and we went to other tournaments elsewhere. And then we ended up going to a convention.
This was what, 2004,
Oh
2005?
God, yeah, a long time ago.
Okay.
I mean, we're
More than 20
talking.
years. HeroClix is
It's been,
20 something years.
I know it's the very beginning.
Yeah.
So we started playing, and I got pretty good and started being competitive. I won. Back in the beginning, there was no world championship. Now, you hear people talk about, like Scott Crampton talk about winning world champ. He didn't win the world championship. Back then, there was no world championship. What they had is, um, cannot remember the name. They had these tournaments.
Invitational prizes. They were
No,
invitationals, no?
no. They had there was a kind of a convention scene that moved all across the country, and they would host. I went to one in Chicago, and they would host the big events there. And you won it; it was a big deal, but it was no, but
The,
it was.
the winner had a figure painted, right? By one of the
That was late.
artists?
That was later on. That was the
Later on.
pre-release.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
but these I can't remember what the name of the events were, but they hosted them. They'd have one in Chicago, they'd have one in Texas, they had one in and they was just like every few months there would be some. They Ed and Matt and Scott won some of those, and they claim those as world championships, but to me they're not. I mean, because there was like 4 or 5 of them, 6 of them, 7 of them held every year, and I never have got that.
Nada más una pausa. Lo que está comentando Howard es que él al principio, cuando empezó a agarrarle gusto al juego, buscó una tienda de cómics que estuviera cerca de su casa y fue a jugar ahí con sus hijos y él jugaba, se volvió juez de esa tienda y ya después de eso empezó a ir un poco más a la escena nacional. Hay una serie de convenciones que se mueven de ciudad en ciudad y él estaba, did you say Chicago?
Yeah,
Ok,
Chicago.
entonces él fue a la convención de Chicago que se dio en ese momento y antes no eran World Championships, no eran National Championships, era un nombre que no recuerda, pero el que ganara se llevaba ciertas figuras especiales. Yo le comenté si era una cuestión como invitacional, pero él ya me dijo que no.
This was back when feet cards and stuff were still out. I remember going there.
Este es cuando estaban las feed cards, ¿se acuerdan de
Battle
esas
condition.
tarjetas de Battlefield Conditions en feed cards? Ese es o sea, era esa época. O sea, Howard ha estado jugando
Armor Wars.
desde que
way back. Yeah, Armor Wars.
desde Infinity Challenge, and you played in tournament with Armor Wars. O sea,
Yeah.
él jugó ya bien Armor Wars. O sea, imagínense desde cuándo está jugando. Hey, Aníbal. Aníbal.
Hello.
Hey, Aníbal, how are you? Okay.
So I played there. That's when they were playing, and I played back then. My first big convention I went to was Origins. I went to there, loved it. At that time, at Origins, what WizKids did differently than what they do now is they rented a huge room as bigger than the cafe, big, huge room where they had Mech Warrior. Then they ended up having HeroClix there, and they had they had
Mech Warrior and HeroClix. How are you? You're talking about ages ago.
I know, and HeroClix. I won, and then also they had a presence at DragonCon. I won all the major tournaments at Origins and at DragonCon back then.
Ok, entonces lo que está comentando Howard es que ya cuando fue una de las primeras veces que fue a Origins, si no la primera vez que fue a Origins, WizKids rentaba un cuarto enorme, donde tenían torneos de Mech Warriors y tenía torneos de HeroClix. O sea, imagínense, HeroClix que fue hace años que ya no hacen. They should reprint HeroClix. They tried with the Undead thing.
They could. There's no license problem.
Tiene problemas de licencia, por eso no. So, after that, él ganó
Then they started having
todos los
national
eventos.
world championships.
Exacto. Entonces, él ganó todos los eventos y a partir de ahí empezaron a tener campeonatos nacionales.
So I started going to Gen Con, Origins, and Dragon Con every year. Now,
y Dragon Con también fue a Dragon Con.
I played in the last year that WizKids had a world championship at Gen Con, and back then they also did their own room. At Gen Con they had their own room there.
En Gen Con, está comentando que en Gen Con también tenía su propio cuarto y él ganó el torneo justamente en Gen Con, que fue de las primeras veces. Antonio Clark says, hi, my first set was fantastic.
Hey,
horses.
Antonio, how you doing, buddy?
All
So
right.
I remember playing, and I was in these tournaments, and I was there when they were having national championships all over the world, and they were flying in the champions to play in the world championship.
Wait. WizKids flew the national champions?
It was very different back then. I remember the Italian champion, the German champion, the Canadian champion, all of them being there. And I was playing in this one tournament, and this would have been Shazam. Ben Chung won the world championship the year later.
Okay.
All right. So this 1 year,
the Nightcrawler.
Yeah, he made the Nightcrawler the following year. That first year, we had all the champions come in and play.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced Halo. There was a big guy in a Halo costume that came in. He was like 8 foot tall. Walked in the room.
8 foot tall es como 2 metros y cacho.
And we got to play in a surprise pre-release tournament of Halo, a sealed tournament. We got to play.
Okay, está platicando que antes de alguna forma WizKids estaba haciendo torneos nacionales. México todavía no figuraba. Pero Mexico was not in the scene with WizKids flew. Pero WizKids le pagaba a los jugadores que ganaban los torneos nacionales para ir al mundial. Eso yo no sabía. I did not know that. So what happened was que justamente en ese torneo que fue World Championship, estrenaron el set de Halo y que había un cuate disfrazado de... ¿Cómo se llama el personaje de Halo? Estaba disfrazado del personaje de Halo que medía 2 metros y cacho, o sea, que era impresionante. Did you win that event?
No, that was a world championship that year.
Okay. And was it the first world championship that WizKids had?
I can't say for sure.
Official.
Yeah, yes, it was a world championship. It was official. It seems like we had some the year before. I don't think it was the very first one.
Porque parece que ese año ganó Ben Chung. That was a
Ben Chung won he won the following year.
The following year. Y Ben Chung, se acordarán ustedes, es el que diseñó Nightcrawler, que está con
I don't think this one I'm referring to was the first. I've been playing in a few of them, and I kept getting close. And
Master Chief.
Yeah, Master Chief was there. So that year, the following year, Ben Chung won. He won with 2 Shazams. The year before,
right?
The rookie Shazams. The year before, I was playing with 2 rookie Shazams. I made the cut. I was in the finals. I felt like I had a good chance of winning, and I'll even tell you who won and how and what was on the table.
Okay.
All right. I finished 9th.
Okay.
And I lost to the Italian champion, and I was playing the double Shazams, and I felt like, and I was a little overconfident.
This was the year before Ben Chung won. Or the
year
before.
Year before. I was a little overconfident. Back then we played with a telephone booth that would.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would make the Shazam.
I remember that.
And so I was a little overconfident, and he was playing with something I didn't really understand. He was playing with a Green Lantern, a rookie Green Lantern.
Oh.
And and he was
Cosmic
playing
Justice, or
he was playing. Yes, he was playing with all these cheat pieces that were copycats that shared abilities that would die really fast but had high attack values. And he was juicing them up, and he had Perplex, and he had Outwit, he had all the stuff, and he got on my Shazams really fast. That would surprise me, and he won. Okay. I wanted to play that match over so many times, but anyways, he won.
What you could have done differently.
Yes, what won that year was a different team. And it had a Shazam on it too, and what it beat was, and I don't remember who won, but it was with the Shazam. He beat the German champion.
Wow!
And the German champion was running one of the heralds out of Galactus, the blue one, that you won for the Galactus event.
Yeah.
The one that Star
Lord, Starfire.
No,
it's
the
Stardust.
Stardust. And that because Stardust spun around,
Okay.
because it had a dial, and then it went to a bad spot, and then it had the dial. It was the same as the first.
Okay.
So it
So
was hard to kill.
sorry, we went a little bit off topic there. Yeah, Stardust. So we went a little bit off topic. So you won. You almost win the first year. Second year, Ben Chung won. How did that come into rock?
All right, so we kept going along, and I told you um, I used to go to Dragon Con every year. All right, Whiz Kids went out. They went. I was there during the period where Whiz Kids
Oh, that's
would.
what Oscar is asking. How
Yeah.
did you take the pause year for the crisis of 2008? What did you
Yes.
do that year in
That's
respect to the game? So, Oscar, this is your answer.
yeah. So when Whiz Kids ceased to exist, and Tops said we're not doing it anymore. Before Neckabime, I want to say there was a year and a half period roughly. HC Realms was still supporting HeroClix, and all the players around the world just flocked to hear HC Realms, and there were tournaments in play still being held because the players kept it alive. Okay, so there's this huge community on HC Realms. So Dragon Con continued to have HeroClix every year, and I would go and play there, and
Even
they
though there weren't any new sets.
no, they just used old stuff for
Okay.
prizing. Anyway, I saw the problem, and I found out what was going on, and I ended up I had loads of stuff that I'd won and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I gave them a lot of stuff for prizing for Dragon Con.
Okay.
And then we went and played. But I mean, I gave them stuff like Galactuses and the old
But
Staros,
those
and
tournaments in Dragon Con were made by HC Realms.
the first year it was done by just volunteers. The second year,
Volunteers.
HC Rim sponsored it.
Ok, lo que está comentando Howard es que una vez que Top se deshizo de la marca de WizKids y antes de que la agarrara NECA, había muchas personas que todavía estaban jugando el juego y todos iban a HC Realms, ustedes se acuerdan de esta página, HC Realms para hacer eventos y todo esto. Y el primer año que, por ejemplo, había una sequía en cuanto a HeroClix, voluntarios rentaron el espacio en DragonCon para hacer esos eventos. Y Howard tenía muchísimos premios de muchísimas cosas que había ganado y que había conseguido a través de los años. Entonces, lo que dio fue donar esos premios, tanto el primer año con los voluntarios, and the second year it was HC Realms that did the
Yeah,
event. Y el segundo año sí fue HC
but
Realms.
WizKids was back then when HC
Oh,
Rims. So, but
for the second year.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I was sponsoring. I was giving stuff to Dragon Con both times for them to support them because there was no prizing available. And I'm talking about I would give out the old Galactus.
Oh, the old
I
Galactus.
would have I even
Spectre.
yes, Spectre. I even so I cleared my room of a lot of extra stuff that I had, and I gave and donated for prizing, and then I went and I bought stuff because I wanted HeroClix to keep going, and I gave it to Dragon Con for prizing, and I just you know what size my car is. The whole back end of my car would be full of
Wow.
stuff,
Wow.
and I would
Okay.
take it. I remember taking stuff there, and I went to the parking garage at Dragon Con, and I said, hey, I need help, and 8 people came down, and all of us had our arms full taking stuff for prizing.
Lo que está comentando es que el primer año que fue todo lo de los voluntarios, llegó a DragonCon en su coche con cosas llenas de HeroClix, de premios de HeroClix, y en esas cosas estaba el Galactus, el primer Galactus grandote, el Espectro y muchas otras cosas más. Le llegaron 8 voluntarios a su coche por todas esas cosas y que llevaban sus brazos llenos de premios.
So,
Y para el segundo año, ya WizKids estaba de regreso y estaba otra vez con HC Realms en DragonCon.
so WizKids came back. They got bought by NECA,
Mm-hmm.
but they started selling Hammer of Thor. Everything started selling again, and but they had not had enough time to get in to set up an OP program to get back in the conventions and stuff, and they made a home on HC Realms because HeroClix.com didn't exist anymore.
Okay.
So WizKids went to HC Realms and because HC Realms had the community, and because HC Realms had pushed so hard, they gave HC Realms a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Justin and Tony were pretty good friends. Okay,
Tony is
was the owner
of HC Realms.
Yes,
Okay.
and so they were pretty tight, and they even brought. It ended up that they brought all their judges, and and if you wanted a ruling by a judge, you went to HC Realms, and that's where they
got the answer.
yes, that's where they got
Okay.
the answer. So everything was on HC Realms. Um, so we sponsored one year at Dragon Con, and there was a bunch of players, and I went over there, and they said, hey, we've been talking, and we want to start some kind of tournament scene. We want to. We have a big enough game when we
the players did.
yeah some of the players there some of my friends now, and I'll tell you who they are in just a second, but they felt like HeroClix should be like all the other games like Magic, that you have events that you can go to and play with prizing. So they wanted to create something like that. At the same time, Tony had been talking to Justin at WizKids, who promised him prizing the following year if he did something. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we went, and they were wanting to know if I wanted to be involved. And I said, sure, I'll be involved. I was a good player back then. I'd won a lot of events. They knew that, and I had supported them. So Tony, myself, Pat, Yokopoko, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Patrick was one of them. Terry Turman was one of them.
Okay.
Charlie, who doesn't play anymore, and there's another guy I can't remember who. That was like 6 of us. We said when Dragon Con ended, we would go and we would talk about it. So Dragon Con ended, and we went to some little hamburger restaurant somewhere. Don't remember the name.
And you just talked about it.
And I took a napkin and a pen and wrote down all the ideas that we had, and went back. And then on HC Rims, Tony said that Justin said he got clarification, he would do it, and let's move along. So everybody kept talking about it, but nobody was running with it. And I said, at that time, I was in a very good spot. I had a company that I was making a lot of money on, and I was sitting at home not doing a lot of things, kind of like you do now, nothing. All right. So anyway, I said, well, somebody's got to do this. I'm going to do it. So I just jumped in there, and I took the bull by the horns, and I became the head of Rock. And then later on, I bought it.
Oh, okay. So, un resumen rapidísimo. Un día, el segundo año ya que WizKids había regresado por parte de NECA, lo que hizo es que varias personas llegaron con Howard, y le dijeron, oye, necesitamos algo un poquito más oficial, algo un poco más de que se vea como torneo. Y lo que hizo Howard fue juntar a Justin, que es Justin Serán, que es el CEO de WizKids, y a Tim, que es el dueño de HC Realms, y los juntó y se fue con otras personas, con Patrick Yabioko, que fue uno de los jugadores que vino el primer nacional aquí a México, y estuvo platicando con ellos, anotaron ideas, y de esas ideas, como nadie estaba haciendo nada al respecto, Howard llegó y dijo, ¿saben qué? Matanga. Entonces él empezó con Rock, él compró la marca un año después y compró lo que es el evento. Entonces así es como se creó Rock. Okay. Oh, so
Now you want to answer questions?
Yes, let's answer some questions. Okay. So first of all, where's my mouse? There we go. So first of all right, so what happened with Lucky Dice Cafe? That's the first. Second one would be, okay, so Antonio says, I would love HeroClix again. I missed the grenade mechanic. Then Alexis Alexis is saying, play with him on Saturday. Yes, Howard Brock va a estar presente en el Rock de Ciudad de México este sábado.
I will be Saturday.
Para los que quieran para los que quieran conocerlo, platicar con él va a estar ahí. All right, so Eddie says, I'm learning more about the story of the game than never before. And Oscar is asking, do you consider Majestic as a rival? So, first of all, Eddie says that he saw a video of you and you weren't very happy with the changed silver to mission points, and that the errata made them worse and people would abuse it. Why didn't you ban it? Okay, so let's go one by one and let's try to
yes
keep
I can answer all those.
Okay, so first of all, what happened with Lucky Dice Cafe?
Lucky Dice Cafe was started by myself and my wife, who I miss very dearly. And we started it. Lucky Dice Cafe was actually started as Lucky Dice Games out of my house when I told her that I could sell HeroClix and make money off of it. And she didn't believe me. And she said, let's do it. And then we made, our first week, we made like $1,500, $2,000.
Wow.
And so and so then after that, we started doing it every week. And then I started buying collections. We started having a lot of money just sitting there. And she said, she always made this mistake. She says, we should open up a game store. And that's all. She did not need to encourage me with such things. So I ran with it, and we ended up buying a lot of things. And I was looking at what we wanted to do, and I had been to some other places that sold food, and I thought that we could do something with that. And so we ended up starting Lucky Dice Cafe, and she was the food part and the accounting part, and she ended up doing the eBay part, and I was kind of the face that promoted the game, was involved with the players, that sold the stuff, that would, and so we made a really good team.
Okay, so Lucky Dice Café, lo que está comentando Howard es que Lucky Dice Café fue iniciado por él y por su esposa, a la que extraña muchísimo. Lamentablemente falleció hace unos años. Y empezó Howard con una idea de, oye, quiero vender HeroClix. Y ella le decía, no puedes vender HeroClix. Y él le dijo, no, es que sí puedo vender HeroClix. Y la primera semana hicieron entre $150,000 y $200,000 nada más en ventas de HeroClix. A lo cual ella decía, oye, pero entonces vamos a poner una tienda. Y Howard le decía, no quiero poner una tienda. O sea, cuestión de parejas. Entonces, Howard vio que los restaurantes podían funcionar. Entonces, lo que pasó fue que ella se encargaba de la contaduría, de la cobranza, del restaurante, de la tienda de eBay, prácticamente de toda la tienda, y Howard nada más era la cara de la tienda. Which, makes you say that, yeah, you're just the face of the company.
Well, there was more than that, but anyway, I was doing a lot of, anyways, we worked very well together, and both of us knew how to do each other's job. And so sometimes she helped me, I helped him. We did all the events. She went to the conventions with me. Nobody hardly ever saw us not together. And we were, our children tell us, said that we were hell on wheels, that when we were together and wanted to accomplish something, nothing stopped us.
Está nada más comentando que él y su esposa iban a convenciones, iban a lugares, siempre iban juntos para este tipo de cosas, y que sus hijos acabaron diciendo que ellos eran infiernos sobre ruedas y que nada podía detenerlos.
So when I lost her, which was a rough time period, I kept Lucky Dice Cafe going, and I wanted to keep it going. I wanted to make sure that we still accomplished the things that she and I talked about. But I had to trust other people in the business. I had to trust people do accounting, payroll, and I had to have people do other things. And I never felt like all the people there, the employees, they didn't see my vision sometimes. They didn't do things the way I wanted to. I thought our customer service fell off. Lots of different things.
I remember that.
And so I became more stressed and was working more, and I just one day just said, I can't do this anymore. And so we changed it, and we downsized. I took the parts that I loved, and I got rid of all the rest. And so we now have Lucky Dice Games. Lucky Dice Games still runs events, still is very active in HeroClix, still has eBay. We still have people come there, but we just don't sell food. We don't have people coming in every day, and there's a lot. We focus only on things that we want to. I don't know, you might want to tell them this, but I was paying $5,400 a month in rent, plus $1,500 in electricity, plus a payroll of $3,500
like $11,000.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I pay $850 now, and I have peace of mind, and I have my weekends off, and I'm not stressed.
Ok, en resumidas cuentas, lo que Howard está comentando para acabar con la respuesta de Vodka es que una vez que Tracy lamentablemente falleció, tuvo que empezar a confiar en otras personas a hacer el trabajo de ella. Y el problema es que esas personas no hacían el trabajo o no compartían la visión que tenía Howard de cómo debía ser correr la tienda. Entonces hubo un momento en donde ya no podía más y decidió deshacerse de todo lo que no quería, quedarse con lo que quiere. Entonces ahorita Estaba, por ejemplo, para el local de Lucky Dice Café, estaba pagando aproximadamente $11,000 en renta, en pagos, en luz, en prácticamente todo. Y ahorita ya está pagando menos de $1,000 en su tienda. Su tienda sigue corriendo eventos y sigue siendo un estandarte de lo que es el juego de HeroClix. Yo tuve la suerte de ir los últimos 2 años que la tienda todavía estaba funcionando. Entonces puedo decirles por experiencia que sí era una época muy difícil de transición, pero ahorita, gracias a Dios, Howard ya está mucho más tranquilo y sigue corriendo eventos y sigue haciendo las cosas que quieren. All right, so espero que eso haya contestado tu pregunta, Vodka. I hope this answered your question, Vodka. So we are over time. We're going to be a little 8 minutes more just to let Howard
Answer the questions.
answer the questions. So, Oscar, do you consider Majestic as a rival?
So just to throw this out there, I could talk HeroClix all day. We could probably do a 10-hour show.
Miren, la realidad es que nosotros nos encanta el juego y podremos hacer un show de 10 horas, Howard, de lo que me está diciendo, pero la verdad es que no.
I've been there since the beginning. I have a lot of history.
Ya tiene muchísima historia. El sábado, que vaya al Rock de Ciudad de México, podrán preguntarle todo lo que quieran ahí.
All right, so now what's the question? What did Oscar ask?
Do you consider Majestic as a rival?
No, I consider them friends. So first of all, a lot of people don't know this or realize this. Pat was used to be the head judge for Rock.
Patrick Japioko.
And he owned Majestics, and Majestic. He was always been a good friend of mine. Majestics, he went out of business about 2 years ago. He went out of the business 2 years ago. I bought his entire store. I bought all of his HeroClix. I bought everything that he had from Majestics and transported it from California to Huntsville, Alabama. He then sold the store, the physical store, and the eBay name to Melissa, who I think
to Melissa, right,
and so she owns Majestics.
Thundering Games is now called.
And now it's Thundering Games.
Thundering Games.
And she still she still has Majestics on eBay, but I think that she does that because of the history. I don't know if she'll ever change that or whatever, but no, I don't have any problem with. I mean.
Oscar, para contestar tu pregunta, no tiene ningún problema con Majestic, nunca los ha considerado un rival, los ha considerado de hecho como amigos. Hace un par de años, Patrick Jabioko decidió deshacerse de todo lo que tenía de Clicks. Howard lo compró y ahorita le vendió la marca a Melissa, que es también una muy buena jugadora de HeroClix, que todavía tiene la tienda en eBay. All right, why didn't you tell Aaron to ban Mission Points? That's what Eddie wants to know.
All right, so before I talked about the period with Rock where we were with TCG Player. At that time, we formed our own rules, and we had a lot of rules that WizKids didn't have in play. Okay, They adopted some of our rules, and we had a better tournament document and we had better tournament rules than they did. Okay, so I mean, there's a lot of things that people don't realize that I were involved in. For example, the map thing. The reason that you get points now when you have a tie is because I pushed that.
Yeah.
And we adopted it on Rock, and I pushed it.
Una de las cosas que ustedes no saben es que gracias a reglas que implementó Rock, gracias a Howard, WizKids acabó implementándolas para su sistema de torneos. Por ejemplo, lo de los empates, ellos lo implementaron. Lo de
zero. Used to get zero.
Lo del cero, lo de los 0 puntos, también ellos lo implementaron y WizKids acabó obteniéndolo.
So we had our own set of rules. So when I bought, and I'm not going to go into all the whys, the details of why they came back to me, but when I bought Rock, Justin reached out, and he said, "How would you? I would be willing to. WizKids would be willing to sponsor Rock again, as long as I did certain things." And I'm not going to tell you all the certain things that they did.
Okay.
But
we would be here all day.
Yeah. And so when we did that, I agreed to it. I had to go through a background check and all kinds of stuff with WizKids.
Yeah.
And I ended up meeting with the VP at that time at the Alliance Game Show. His name was Brian. Brian's no longer with the company. I guess Jake took his place. But I met with Brian, and he asked me all kinds of questions. And, he brought up some things in my past that were not necessarily, nothing that I'm ashamed of, but I had to explain. And so he agreed they agreed to do it. And so when I did that, I then he was my main point of contact, and that was about the same time that Kenny Pena was coming in. And so Kenny Pena and I started working together, and we took the rules, and I said, I don't want rock rules to be different than WizKids rules. And I said, but we have some things that are better. So we merged them. And so some of the rock rules went away. Some of them stayed and became WizKids rules.
Right.
And so that's how that came about. So we have maintained since then that we were not going to create our own rules, that we wanted players, whether they were playing WizKids or rock, that the rules were the same.
Okay.
So moving along to now, we have we requested Silver Age, and WizKids gave us Silver Age to be our own. And it's our format. That's why we have a world championship that is recognized by WizKids when we run it at the Rock Cup at Huntington's.
Yep.
That's why we have that. And then changes so we have a rock head judge, Aaron Morgan, who works intimately with WizKids rules people. And when we want something changed, we go through the process with them, and they ask us for recommendations. They ask us for recommendations on what map legality is, on what figures should be not allowed, and
Right.
and when we see problems with certain things, we bring it to their attention. And so we do it bilaterally. So this past year, we took everything to them and pretty much got everything, and we did not want mission points at all. WizKids decided they did want mission points, and they made that change. It was not us, but because of the way that the thing is, it's in Silver Age. But if neither Aaron or I want mission points.
Ok, entonces, resumen rapidísimo. Cuando Howard compra la marca de Rock, se junta con Justin y Justin le dice, oye, quiero hacer las cosas de cierta forma. Entonces, Rock tenía su propia serie de reglas para torneos. WizKids casi no tenía reglas para torneos. Años después entra Kenny Peña, que fue uno de los grandes que empezó fue campeón. Kenny Peña was national champion, right?
Yes.
And world champion?
He would know.
Okay.
He was American and Canadian national champion.
Fue campeón de Estados Unidos y campeón de Canadá. Entonces, él empieza a trabajar con WizKids y empieza a trabajar con Howard en un sistema y dice, ¿sabes qué? No quiero que WizKids tenga sus reglas y yo tener mis reglas. Entonces, empezaron a hacer como una unión entre ambas reglas de torneo, y son las reglas de torneo que tiene WizKids ahorita, y son las reglas de torneo que tiene Howard. Ahora, con los Mission Points fue algo muy similar, porque esto apenas se implementó el año pasado, pero WizKids reconoce a Rock como el patrocinador o el evento para eventos Silver. Por eso este año en el Mundial no hubo evento Silver. El año pasado sí, pero este evento ya no, porque Rock se está encargando de todo el evento, todo el juego Silver. Y una de las cosas que le dijo Howard a WizKids fue, junto con Aaron Morgan, que ya mencioné que es el head judge, dijo, no queremos los Mission Points, a lo cual WizKids dijo, pues nosotros sí, y ni modo. Son nuestros juguetes. Entonces, por eso están los Mission Points, Eddie. No es tanto que Howard no haya querido, es porque WizKids dijo, sí va a haber, ¿vale?
For the record, I've never liked mission points.
Ok, y para que quede claro, Howard nunca le han gustado los Mission Points. A mí no me importa porque yo nunca he jugado con ellos. All right, so Ray, hi Ray, how are you? Very interesting everything. So Oscar says you were the PR Toxiclex. That's Saul and Richie. How are you doing, my friends? Give me a big hug.
I don't like those guys.
No. We want to know which teams are you playing this weekend. Well, no, you're not going to know mine because...
We don't know. You don't know yours.
I don't know mine, but... so what are you playing?
I'm playing a non-themed team. I have a lot of different things on there. You know my team. My team has... it has Carnage Silver Surfer. It has...
Venom
Magneto. It has Sicarian Iron Man. It has Blue Beetle Prime. It has Cosmo. It has Kirk and Aurora.
Oh, Kirk and Uhura. Oh
yeah,
boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got Ant-Man. I've got a lot of different things.
Okay.
Got a lot of stuff, a lot of elements.
So Oscar says, I have bought from your eBay store. Tower Sense, will you bring Lucky Dice Cafe dice? Because he always wanted one. He always wanted a couple of...
I tell you what I'll do is I will bring some. I'll bring some of Dennis's and I'll replace Dennis's.
Okay, no, you're not replacing my die. Okay, so
Well, I don't have any here.
oh,
Well,
okay.
wait a minute. I do have some.
You do have
I
some
do
here.
have some.
You do have some here.
I have some. Yes.
So Tower
yes,
Sense this
yes.
Saturday, if you go up to Howard and tell him to tell you a specific story, he's gonna give you a couple of Lucky Dice Cafe.
While I have some.
Yeah, while he has some. All right. So Eddie says that he wants to invite you to Guanajuato. Then yeah, Oscar says that Alisa is his friend. All right, so Antonio Giovanni Pineda Montes. Hi, Antonio. How are you? He says hi, and hi to you, hi to me. He has bought some products from eBay, and they're always very well packaged.
Well, thank you. We try.
Addis. Oh, Addis is the guy.
Well, so that's another reason.
Mm-hmm.
Another reason why I've done what I've done is I told you I wasn't happy with customer service.
Mm-hmm.
That included eBay. The only two people that do anything now at that store are myself and my daughter.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like I have more control, more hands-on in things across the board, whether it's on eBay or in the store, are being done the way I want them done.
Que es una de las cosas que él, por ejemplo, cuando tenía la tienda grande, no hacían bien lo del empaquetado de eBay, pero ahorita ya como es nada más él y su hija, entonces ya lo están empaquetando bien. All right, so Addis is the guy that wants to meet you.
Okay.
He says, wow, didn't know that you are a Clicks Baron.
Clicks Baron, yeah.
You're the Clicks Baron. Aris, need I remind you, we have a Clicks Czar in Mexico City, and his name is Alexa, so you best be careful in ranking. All right, so Eddie. All right, so Eddie is the guy who asked you about the mission points, and he says that he's sure that they didn't test that decision in the least. And then Oscar said that you're the promoter, and Toxiclicks is saying laugh out loud. All right, guys.
Seems like I saw another question that we didn't answer, but I don't remember what it was.
Let's see. Basado, did you consider Majestics as a rival?
No, before points?
Before that, okay. The round.
Grid reality. That was it.
Oh, right. Oh, right. So, Oscar asks, and this is going to be the last question, so please. Did Howard make grid reality maps? That was the question. Si Howard hacía los mapas de grid reality.
Well, there's something very interesting about that. So, HC Realms made Grid Reality, which was before I owned Rock. Okay, mm-hmm. So Grid Reality, when we part of the deal was that Grid Reality would make Rock maps, design Rock maps. Grid Reality was owned by the owner of HC Realms and by Steve, mm-hmm. who is the map maker, was the map maker for WizKids.
He's still the map maker, right?
No, he does not make maps any longer for WizKids.
Okay.
But he makes all of our maps. Uh-huh. He did every single map that's ever been done has been done by Steve. Uh-huh. And so that was part of the deal. Then when I bought Rock, eventually Grid Reality became not important anymore. And so now you'll see on the maps in the bottom,
Gamer Mats.
Well, you see, Gamer Mats is who makes the maps, who actually physically makes the maps. And then you see, what does that say?
Stevie's. Oh.
That's Steve's.
Stevie Zearto.
Yeah, so that's Steve.
That's his logo.
And then you have the Rock logo, and then you have the WizKids logo.
So Steve used to work for WizKids, but now he does all the... Oh, okay. Entonces, lo que está comentando Howard es que Steve hacía todos los mapas para Grid Reality y lo sigue haciendo para lo que es Rock. Entonces, ya no, él era diseñador de WizKids, pero ahorita ya está trabajando. Y si ven aquí abajo, viene su logotipo SZ y viene su página para que puedan ver su arte. Okay. All right. So, Oscar says he had Grid Reality maps and he was just curious about it. And this is the last question, guys. La última pregunta ahora sí.
When Rock first happened, Grid Reality maps were legal to be played on.
For WizKids?
For Rock tournaments.
Para torneos de Rock, los mapas de Grid Reality eran legales para los eventos de Rock nada más.
There's a lot of good older maps that were made.
Yeah, I know. Oscar has most of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question, and we close with this, guys.
Okay.
Antonio Giovanni Pineda Montes asks, what's what you expect in this experience on Mexico City Rock? What are you expecting with this experience?
Um, I think for me, I expect to win. um,
There's a lot of competition.
I'm here because of this man. This man is my best friend. And I wanted to come here and see his culture, see his place, meet his family. And the opportunity presented itself to go to a game store here and play in states. And I love playing anywhere. I used to I used to have a traveling sales company, and I played in venues all across the United States when I traveled, and I enjoyed that. And the fact that I can come to Mexico and play with a bunch of other players that I've never been around is wonderful. And I've met Alexis, and that I get to play in his store, I think is also awesome.
Yep.
And then we're going to be going there in a little while. And so if you guys are would like to meet me today, I guess we're going to be in Alexis's store.
Today? No.
Not
no.
today? Oh,
no,
not today.
not today. We'll be there maybe Friday, definitely on Saturday.
Okay. But anyway, I'd love to meet everybody. And I love HeroClix. What the game I love, the community I love more.
Entonces, lo que estoy diciendo es que una de las razones principales es que vino a conocer mi cultura, vino a conocer porque soy uno de sus mejores amigos igual, y vino a conocer mi cultura, vino a conocer a mi familia, a conocer cuál es el ambiente en el que desarrolla, pero él siempre le gusta jugar en donde sea HeroClix, siempre le gusta jugar HeroClix donde sea y donde quiera que esté, y se presentó la oportunidad que el Rock de Ciudad de México justamente era el fin de semana que iba a venir, entonces le va a gustar mucho jugar, le va a gustar mucho estar hablando con ustedes, por favor, el viernes que vayamos o el sábado que vayamos, ahí va a estar Howard un rato, platiquen con él, pregúntenle lo que quieran, él es una persona muy accesible, y pues Howard, competition in Mexico is pretty tough, y él espera ganar el Rock el Rock, que no sería la primera vez que un evento oficial en México se gana por alguien de Estados Unidos. Entonces, all right, so Antonio says, thanks for the answer. And Eddie says, respect. Okay, guys. Okay. Bueno, what?
No, nothing.
What? He says, respect.
No, that's not. I'm just like, it just seems like every time we're together, whatever we plan is longer than that.
Yeah. I always want to make this a 1 hour show, and then it's 1 hour 20. La realidad, a ver, Howard y yo nos llevamos muy bien. Y la realidad es que podríamos hablar de HeroClix todo el tiempo y podríamos estar contestando preguntas en cuanto a HeroClix y hablando de HeroClix. Y pues es algo que nos gusta mucho. Entonces, siempre que hacemos un show juntos, siempre el show se alarga mucho más de lo que normalmente es. Pero bueno, señores, so guys, we'll see you on Saturday. Eddie says, let's go eat. Eddie, say where and when, man.
What did George say?
You don't want to know.
Yes, no. I do. What did he say? What did George say?
I'll tell you when it's finished. You're not going to. No. No.
Bad?
No. But we can't say it in the family-friendly environment. Bastard. So, okay. Entonces, nos vemos el viernes, nos vemos el sábado. Señores, muchas gracias por acompañarnos. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Howard, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for answering these questions. The Mexican community has learned a lot from you. And, información de los rock. Okay, Gato Cortez. On Gamers Events Facebook page, you have all the dates and all the stores that the rock is going to take place. Gato Cortés, toda la información de los rock, como las direcciones de las tiendas y a quién se pueden dirigir, está en la página de Gamers Events, ¿vale? Entonces, manda un mensaje privado a Gamers Events MX y con mucho gusto te puedo responder en dónde puedes ver esa información. Okay, it's not bad, as Oscar said, it's just kinky stuff, but don't listen to George. Asshole. Ok, entonces gracias, nos vemos viernes, nos vemos definitivamente el sábado, cuídense mucho, sigan tirando esos dados, doble 6 para todos, and your slogan is, gaming is community,
gaming creates community.
Gaming creates community, entonces sigan tirando esos dados, sigan creando comunidad, sigan apoyando las tiendas, cuídense mucho y...
Competition creates
community. Competencia crea comunidad. Eso es algo muy, muy, muy cierto. Bueno. At least he said uncle.